Commander Zexera walked into the great meeting hall of Station Omega. Her hard-shell body gleamed under the bright lights. She was the leader of the Vorthon people, and today was a very important day. Every year, the 7 strongest races in the galaxy came together to remember how special they were. The meeting hall was huge. It could hold thousands of beings, but today, only the most important leaders sat in the special chairs. Each chair was made for a different type of alien body. Some were big and heavy for the rock-like Krillians. Others were filled with water for the fish-like Nexari. All of them were built for beings who had survived the worst. Planets in the galaxy. Zexthera looked at each of the other leaders. She felt proud to be here with them. They were the only 7 races who had lived through what the galaxy called Deathworlds. Every other race in the galaxy lived on safe, easy planets with gentle weather and no dangerous animals. But not them. They were different. They were special. Ambassador Dekmer shifted his massive stone body in his chair. He was bigger than 3 humans put together, and his skin looked like gray rock. His people came from a world where the air itself could kill most beings. The gravity was so strong, it would crush normal aliens flat. Storms of deadly light swept across the land every few days, and the ground shook with earthquakes that could split mountains. "Fellow survivors," Zexthera began, her voice carrying across the room through the translation machines. "We meet again to celebrate another year of our great alliance. We 7 races stand alone in the galaxy. We are the only ones strong enough to survive on worlds that kill everything else." She paused and looked at each leader. There was pride in her eyes, but also sadness. Being special meant being alone. Dr. Yolandra moved in her water-filled suit. It was from the Nexari, a people who lived in the deep oceans of their world. But these were not normal oceans. The water on her planet was so full of acid it could eat through metal in minutes. The pressure at the bottom was so great, it would turn most aliens into paste. Volcanoes under the water made the sea boil, and creatures with teeth like swords hunted in the dark depths. "Commander Zexthera speaks the truth," Dr. Yolandra said, her voice bubbling through the water in her suit. "Our worlds made us strong by trying to kill us every day. We learned to fight, to survive, to never give up. Most races in the galaxy could not last one day on any of our home planets. There was Krevnok from the ice world of frozen death, where the cold was so bitter it could freeze blood solid in seconds. The wind howled at speeds that could throw boulders through the air. His people had thick fur and could make fire with their bare hands. But even they lost many to the cold every year. Captain Morden represented the Salar. People from the poison world of green hell. Everything on their planet was toxic. The air would burn lungs, the rain would melt skin, and the plants could kill with a single touch. His people had to wear special suits just to walk outside their sealed cities. General Chixara came from the storm world of lightning fields. On her planet, the sky was always angry. Lightning struck the ground thousands of times every hour. The wind never stopped howling, and tornadoes the size of cities roamed across the land. Her people lived underground and only came up when they had to. Commander Zorth was from the fire world of burning sands. His planet was so close to its sun that the ground was always hot enough to cook food. Rivers of liquid rock flowed like water, and the air shimmered with heat that could kill. His people had skin like metal and could walk through fire. But even they had to hide in caves during the worst heat. Each of these leaders had seen their people fight every day just to stay alive. They had watched friends and family die from the dangers of their worlds. They had learned that life was hard, that only the strong survived, and that every day alive was a victory. "The galaxy fears us, Ambassador," Dekmer said, his voice like rocks grinding together. "They call us the Death Survivors. They think we are too dangerous to be around."
"Oh, but we know the truth."
"We are not dangerous because we want to hurt others. We're dangerous because we know how to survive when everything tries to kill us." Zexthera walked to the big window that looked out into space. She could see hundreds of ships from peaceful worlds flying by. Those ships were clean and bright, filled with beings who had never known real danger. They lived on worlds with gentle rain, warm sunshine, and animals that ate plants instead of each other. "Sometimes I wonder what it would be like," she said quietly, "to live on a world where we did not have to fight every day, where children could play outside without fear, where we could walk under open sky without waiting for death to fall from." Above, Dr. Yolandra made a sad sound in her water suit. "I dream of oceans that do not burn, where my people could swim without fear of the acid eating their skin. But then I remember that those gentle waters made gentle people. They would not understand our strength." The meeting continued as it had for 200 years. Each leader shared news from their world. They talked about the storms that had killed thousands, the earthquakes that had destroyed cities, and the new dangers their people had learned to face. But they also talked about victories, new technologies that helped them survive better, children who had grown strong enough to face the dangers, cities that had stood against the worst their worlds could throw at them. They were proud of their suffering because it had made them who they were. In a galaxy of over 10 million different races, they were the only ones tough enough to crawl out of hell and build something good. What none of them knew was that their sensors had just picked up something impossible. A ship was coming from a star system they had looked at long ago. The third planet from that star was covered in water and storms. It had huge animals that ate other animals. The weather changed from burning hot to freezing cold. Lightning, earthquakes, volcanoes, and hurricanes made it one of the most dangerous worlds they had ever seen. They had marked it as a dead world, a place where nothing could ever live. But now, something was coming from that nightmare planet. Something had not only survived there, but had built machines that could travel between the stars. In the deep space around Station Omega, warning lights began to flash. Sensors that watched for danger started making noise. Ship unlike any they had seen before was getting closer. It was smaller than their great warships, but it moved with purpose and intelligence. The impossible had happened. Something lived on the Deathworld, they called. Something was coming to meet them. Commander Zexthera would soon learn that everything they thought they knew about survival was wrong. The 7 races of the Deathworld Coalition were about to meet beings who made their worst nightmares look like peaceful gardens. The humans were coming. The galaxy would never be the same again. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the ship New Horizons. He looked at the big screen in front of him, showing the strange space station ahead. After flying through space for 3 months, they had finally found what they were looking for. Other intelligent life in the galaxy. The space station was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. It was made of metal that shined in the light from nearby stars. Strange shapes stuck out from all sides, and lights blinked in patterns they did not understand. It was clearly built by someone very smart, someone who knew how to work with advanced technology. Jake ran his hand through his gray hair. He was 50 years old and had been flying ships for most of his life. He had seen many dangerous things in space, but this was different. This was the moment that would change everything for the human race. They were no longer alone in the universe. "Lieutenant Foster, are they talking to us yet?" Jake asked. Amy Foster was 28 years old and the best communications officer in the Earth fleet. She had short brown hair and green eyes that were always focused on her work. She looked up from her control panel and shook her head. "No, sir, they are not answering our messages. But I can hear lots of different signals coming from that station. It sounds like there are many different types of beings over there, not just one." Dr. Carl Hughes almost jumped out of his seat with excitement. He was the science officer for this mission, and he loved learning about new things. At 42 years old, he had studied life on Earth for most of his career. Now, he had the chance to study alien life for the first time. "Captain, this is amazing. We are not just meeting one alien race. We might be meeting several different species all at once. This could teach us more about life in the universe than we ever dreamed possible." Jake nodded, but he stayed careful. He had been a military officer before becoming an explorer, and he knew that first meetings could go wrong very quickly. "Raid. Alert. Turn on our shields, but do not power up our weapons. We come in peace, but we stay ready to protect ourselves." The crew moved quickly to follow his orders. Lights on the bridge changed from white to red. Computer screens showed that their defensive systems were working. Their weapons stayed off. They did not want to seem dangerous to these new aliens. On Station Omega, panic filled the great meeting hall. Sensor operator Grixtel ran into the room as fast as his 6 legs could carry him. He was small compared to the leaders, but his job was very important. He watched the deep space sensors that looked for danger coming from far away. Commanders, emergency report. A ship is coming toward us from the Terra system. Commander Zexera's compound eyes went wide. She had many small eyes instead of 2 big ones like humans. All of them focused on the small sensor operator with surprise and disbelief. That cannot be right. We have studied that system many times. The 3rd planet from the star is a Class 12 Deathworld. Nothing could live there. Nothing could survive on that nightmare world. Grixtel held up his datapad, his hands shaking with fear and excitement. The ship is definitely real, Commander. It is made by intelligent beings. Yes. It is sending us signals that look like mathematical messages. Someone is trying to talk to us. Ambassador Thekmer's heavy breathing filled the room. When he got upset, his rock-like skin made grinding sounds. A ship from the 3rd planet of Terra. That world has weather systems that could tear apart our strongest warships. Storms there are bigger than our entire homeworld. The other. Leaders looked at each other with growing alarm. They'd all studied the Terra system when they first found it. What they saw there had given them nightmares. Dr. Yolandra's water suit bubbled and hissed as she got more upset. Our long-distance probes sent back data that scared our best scientists. The surface temperature on that world changes so fast, it would kill most known life forms in minutes. The air itself is poison to half the races in the galaxy. General Chixara stood up from her chair, her lightning-scarred skin crackling with nervous energy. The geological readings showed constant earthquake activity. The ground never stops moving. Mountains explode with liquid fire. Oceans are full of creatures that would eat a Krillian warrior for breakfast. Captain Morden checked his poison detectors out of habit. Even thinking about that world made him nervous. Our chemical analysis showed that world has gases in the air that would burn through our protective suits. The rain there is full of acid. Even the plants are dangerous. Commander Zorth's metal-like skin grew hot with worry. The radiation levels. From there, Star should have cooked everything on that planet long ago. How could anything survive there, much less build spaceships? But Commander Zexthera was their leader for a good reason. When others panicked, she made decisions. She had kept her people alive through countless dangers, and she would not let fear stop her from doing what was right. "Bring them here," she said in a voice that was calm but firm. "If something has actually survived on that hell world, we need to know what it is. We need to know how they did it." The other leaders started to argue, but she held up her hand for silence. "Think about this carefully," she continued. "We 7 races have always believed we were special because we survived on Deathworlds. But what if we were wrong? What if there are others out there who are even stronger than us? We need to learn from them." Ambassador Dekmer's voice was like rocks falling down a mountain. "But Commander, what if they are dangerous? What if surviving on that world made them into killers?" Zexthera looked at him with something that might have been a smile. "My friend, we are all killers. Our worlds made us that way. If these beings are like us, then we will understand each other. If they are different, then we need to know how different." Dr. Yolandra made a decision. "I agree with the Commander. As a scientist, I must know how life could exist on such a world. Send them a message. Tell them they can dock with our station." On the New Horizons, Lieutenant Foster suddenly sat up straight. "Captain, they are talking to us. The message is coming through our translation computers now." Jake leaned forward in his chair. "What do they say?" Amy's voice was full of wonder. "They welcome us to Station Omega. They say we can dock our ship with their station. They want to meet us in person." Dr. Hughes was so excited he could barely sit still. "Captain, we have to go over there. This is the most important moment in human history." Jake thought for a moment. Meeting aliens face to face was dangerous. They did not know if these beings were friendly or hostile. They did not know if humans could even breathe the same air, or if their diseases would kill each other. But they had come too far to turn back now. Humanity had always been explorers. They had crossed oceans on Earth when they did not know what was on the other side. They had climbed the highest mountains just to see what was there. They had gone to space because they wanted to know what was beyond their world. Lieutenant Foster, send them a message. Tell them we accept their invitation. Tell them we come. In peace and friendship, as the New Horizons moved closer to Station Omega, both humans and aliens prepared for a meeting that would change the galaxy forever. Neither side knew that their ideas about strength, survival, and what it meant to be tough were about to be completely turned upside down. The first meeting between humans and the Deathworld Coalition was about to begin. The meeting room on Station Omega was the biggest space the aliens had. It was built for important talks between different species, so it had air that most beings could breathe and gravity that would not crush anyone. Special seats were arranged. Around a large table, each one made for different types of alien bodies, Captain Jake Morrison walked into the room with Dr. Carl Hughes and Lieutenant Amy Foster behind him. They wore their best uniforms and carried translation devices that would help them talk to the aliens. Jake had been in many dangerous situations before, but this was different. This was the first time any human had ever met intelligent aliens. Across from them sat 7 of the most frightening creatures Jake had ever seen. Commander Zexthera looked like a giant insect made of living crystal. A hard shell reflected the lights in the room, and her many eyes watched every move the humans made. Next to her, Ambassador Thekmer was like a living mountain of gray. Stone with arms and legs, he was so big that his chair groaned under his weight. Dr. Yolandra floated in a suit, full of bubbling liquid that let her breathe underwater. The other aliens were just as strange and scary looking. One had skin that sparked with electricity. Another looked like he was made of metal that glowed with heat. Each one looked like they could kill a human without even trying hard. Commander Zexthera spoke first, her voice coming through the translation machines as clear words the humans could understand. We welcome you, travelers from the impossible world. I am Commander Zexthera of the Vorthan Empire. We represent the Deathworld Coalition. It's the only 7 species in all of galactic history to have survived and grown strong on worlds too hostile. For normal life, Captain Morrison stood up and gave a polite bow like he had been taught in diplomatic training. Thank you for letting us come aboard, Commander. I am Captain Jake Morrison of Earth. These are Dr. Carl Hughes and Lieutenant Amy Foster. We are honored to meet fellow survivors. The words fellow survivors made all the aliens look at each other with confusion. Commander Zexthera's crystal shell made clicking sounds as she moved nervously. Fellow survivors. Ambassador Thekmer's voice was so deep it made the floor shake. You say you are survivors? But your species looks so soft and weak. Dr. Hughes stepped forward, his love of science making him forget to be scared. Weak. I am sorry, but did you just say that Earth is a death world? The room became very quiet. The aliens stopped moving and stared at the humans with what looked like shock. Commander Zexthera, as many eyes all focused on Dr. Hughes. Your planet registers as a Class 12 death world on our danger scale. That is the most dangerous rating we have. Your weather systems alone should have killed any intelligent life long before it could develop. Lieutenant Foster pulled out her electronic tablet and started reading from it. Earth's temperature goes from -89 degrees to +58 degrees in different places and seasons. We have storms with winds that blow faster than 300 kilometers per hour. Earthquakes can destroy entire cities in seconds. Volcanoes can change the weather all around the world when they explode. Dr. Yolandra's water suit made surprised bubbling sounds. That is impossible. How do you survive such things? Captain Morrison looked genuinely confused, like someone had just told him that water was dry. Survive, Commander? I think you do. Not understand something. We do not just survive on Earth. We do very well there. We have nearly 8 billion humans living on every part of our planet. Dr. Hughes got excited talking about his favorite subject. We live everywhere from frozen lands where the ground is always ice to hot deserts where the sun can cook you. We build cities right on top of earthquake zones and on islands with active volcanoes. We put towns in places that get hit by huge storms every year. The alien representatives looked at each other with expressions that needed no translation. They were all realizing the same scary truth. If these humans were telling the truth, then Earth was not just another death world. It was a death world that had created a species that thought deadly conditions were normal. But how do you protect yourselves? Asked Captain Morden, his poison-sensing equipment beeping nervously. Amy Foster smiled, which made several aliens step back in their seats. Protect ourselves? Sir, many humans actually look for dangerous places to visit. Some of our most popular vacation spots are active volcano areas, places with dangerous wild animals, and regions with extreme weather. Commander Zorth's medal. Skin grew hotter with confusion. You seek out danger for pleasure? Captain Morrison laughed, a sound that made the aliens flinch like they had heard a weapon firing. Commander, some people pay lots of money to jump off high cliffs with only a rope to stop them from hitting the ground. Others dive deep into the ocean where the pressure could crush them. We climb tall mountains that can kill us just to say we reached the top. General Chixara's lightning-scarred skin crackled with nervous energy. But surely many of you die from such foolishness. Oh yes, Morrison said casually, like he was talking about the weather. Humans die in accidents, natural disasters, and dangerous sports all the time, but we keep doing these things anyway. We think the fun and excitement are worth the risk. The room fell silent, except for the humming of machines and the bubbling of Dr. Yolandra's water suit. Each alien was trying to understand what they had just heard. These humans were not just survivors of a death world. They were a species that had turned survival into entertainment. Dr. Hughes continued his explanation, getting more excited with each word.
Your species each learned to live with one specific type of danger?
The Vorthans handle radiation, the Krillians manage heavy gravity, the Nexori work in acid. But humans have learned to handle all of those dangers and more. We are what scientists call generalists. That cannot be true, whispered Ambassador Thickmer, his voice like distant thunder. We have humans living in space stations where radiation would kill most species, Foster added. We have people working underwater at depths that would crush a Krillian. We have researchers wearing special suits that let them work with acids that would eat through Nexari equipment. Commander Zexthara finally found her voice, though it shook when she spoke. You are saying that humans can survive in conditions that would challenge any of our species? Not just survive, Morrison corrected her, still smiling. We do well in those conditions, and we often do it by choice, for fun, or because someone dared us to try. Dr. Hughes pulled up more information on his tablet. Earth has predators that hunt in packs and can run faster than your fastest vehicles. We have poisonous creatures, plants that can kill you if you touch them, and insects that carry deadly diseases. Our oceans have animals bigger than your space, ships with teeth that can bite through metal. And you live alongside these monsters? Asked Dr. Yolandra. Live alongside them? Amy Foster laughed. Some humans keep dangerous animals as pets, others study them up close. We have people who swim with sharks, handle poisonous snakes, and track down the most dangerous predators just to take pictures of them. The Deathworld Coalition was beginning to understand that they had just met something beyond their imagination. They thought they were the toughest beings in the galaxy because they had survived on worlds that killed most life. But humans had not just survived on a world more dangerous than all of theirs combined. They had thrived there and made it into a playground commander. Zexthara looked at her fellow leaders and saw her own fear reflected in their faces. They had spent centuries being proud of their strength, their ability to survive where others could not. Now they realized they had been children playing in safe gardens compared to these humans. The galaxy had just become a much more dangerous and interesting place. Over the next few days, the humans and aliens spent more time together learning about each other. Thought they knew about being strong and surviving dangerous worlds. Dr. Carl Hughes stood in front of a big screen in the station's main. He was excited to share what he had learned about the alien worlds compared to Earth. The 7 alien leaders sat in their special chairs, but they looked much less confident than they had a few days ago. Your species are amazing survivors. He turned on the big screen that showed pictures and numbers about different planets. Let me show you something interesting. But your species grew special organs inside your bodies that processed that radiation safely. You changed your bodies to fit your environment. Commander? Zexthoro's crystal shell clicked nervously. Of course, we adapted our bodies. How else could we survive? That is exactly my point, Hughes continued with growing excitement. Humans did not adapt our bodies to Earth's dangers. We learned to beat them using our brains, working together, and just refusing to give up. When the weather got too cold, we did not grow thicker skin like animals do. When big predators tried to eat us, we did not grow claws or bigger teeth. We made weapons and learned to hunt in groups. Lieutenant Amy Foster joined Dr. Hughes. At the front of the room, Dr. Hughes is being too modest about what humans do. It goes much deeper than just surviving. We actively look for danger because we think it is fun. We have sports where people jump off mountains, dive to the bottom of deep oceans, and race. Vehicles at speeds that can kill them instantly. Ambassador Thekmer shifted his massive stone body uncomfortably. His chair creaked under his weight. This is very disturbing to hear. Your species looks for danger because it makes you happy. Captain Morrison laughed again, and this time, the aliens were ready for it, but still did not like the sound. Ambassador, some of our most expensive vacation trips are to places with active volcanoes, areas full of dangerous wild animals, and zones with extreme weather that can kill you. People save money for years just to experience what you would think of as torture. Dr. Yolandra's water suit bubbled frantically as she tried to understand. But how do you survive being so careless with your lives? We do not always survive. Morrison admitted without seeming upset about it. Humans die in accidents, natural disasters, and dangerous activities every single day. But we keep doing these things anyway. We have decided that the excitement, the challenge, and the feeling of being alive are worth the risk of dying. The room fell quiet as the aliens tried to process this information. To them, every day of life was a precious victory against their hostile worlds. The idea that someone would risk their life for fun was completely alien to their way of thinking. Dr. Hughes continued his presentation with more shocking facts. Your species each learned to handle one specific type of environmental danger. The Vorthons process radiation. The Krillians live with crushing gravity. The Nexari survive in acid water. But humans have learned to handle all of those conditions, and many more. We are survival generalists. Impossible, whispered Captain Morden, his poison detection equipment beeping as his stress levels rose. We have humans living in space stations. Where radiation levels would cook most species in minutes, Foster added cheerfully. We have deep-sea workers operating under pressure that would turn a Krillian into paste. We have researchers wearing protective suits that let them work with acids strong enough to dissolve Nexari equipment in seconds. General Chixara's lightning-scarred skin crackled with nervous energy. You are saying that humans can survive in conditions that would challenge any of our species? Not just survive, Morrison corrected with that terrifying human smile. We thrive in those conditions. We often do it by choice, for entertainment, or because someone bet us we could not do it. Commander Zorth's metal skin grew hot with confusion and fear. What do you mean someone bet you could not do it? Amy Foster's eyes lit up with excitement. Humans love making bets about dangerous things. We have people who have jumped over canyons on motorcycles, swum across frozen lakes, and climbed buildings with their bare hands just because someone challenged them to try. Dr. Hughes brought up more information on his screen. Let me tell you about human children. On most civilized worlds, young beings are kept safe and protected until they are fully grown. Human children play games that would terrify adult aliens. They climb trees that could fall and crush them. They swim in water where they could drown. They run and jump and fight with each other for fun. Your young ones do this willingly? Asked Dr. Yolandra in horror. They love it, Morrison replied. Human children get bored and unhappy if they are too safe. They need excitement and challenge. To develop properly, we actually worry about children who do not take enough risks. Commander Zexthera found her voice, though it shook when she spoke. How do any of your young survive to become adults? Most of them do just fine, Hughes answered. Humans are very good at judging risks and staying just safe enough to survive. We have learned to be dangerous without being stupid, usually. Foster pulled up videos on her tablet showing humans doing various extreme activities. Would you like To see some examples, here are humans surfing on waves the size of buildings. Here are people skiing down mountains at speeds that would be fatal if they fell. This person is climbing a cliff face with no safety equipment except a rope. The aliens watched the videos in stunned silence. What they were seeing looked like mass suicide attempts, but the humans in the videos were clearly having fun. The most important thing to understand, Dr. Hughes said seriously, is that humans do not think of these activities as particularly dangerous. To us, this is just normal recreation. We do not see ourselves as brave or crazy. We see ourselves as people having a good time. Ambassador Thekmer's voice was barely a whisper. What do you consider actually dangerous? Well, we do have some activities that we consider risky. Free climbing mountains without any safety gear. Cave diving in underwater tunnels where you could get lost and drown. Volcano surfing where people slide down the sides of active volcanoes on pieces of metal. And people do these things? Commander Zorth asked. Oh yes, Foster replied happily. Not many people, because they are genuinely dangerous. But every year, some humans decide to try them anyway. The Deathworld Coalition was beginning to understand that they had been completely wrong about their place in the galaxy. They had thought they were the ultimate survivors, the toughest beings alive. But humans had shown them that what they considered ultimate survival challenges were just normal Tuesday activities for people from Earth. Dr. Yolandra made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. "I want to visit your Earth," she announced. "I want to see this impossible world for myself." The other aliens stared at her like she had just said she wanted to jump into a star. Dr. Yolandra, Commander Zexthera, said carefully, "That world would kill you in minutes." "Maybe," the aquatic scientist replied. "But if I am going to call myself a Deathworld survivor, I need to see what a real Deathworld looks like." "Captain," Morrison smiled his terrifying human smile. "Dr. Yolandra, we would be honored to show you our home. Just remember to bring very good protective equipment." 6 months had passed since the humans first arrived at Station Omega. The galaxy was completely different now. News of the meeting between humans and the Deathworld Coalition had spread to every civilized system in known space. And the shock waves were still being felt everywhere, Captain. Jake Morrison stood in the new command center that had been built on the station. The old Station Omega had been renamed Haven Station to show that it was now a place where all Deathworld survivors could come together. Around him, human and alien workers did their jobs side by side. It was something that no one had thought possible just a few months ago. The command center was much bigger than the old meeting room. Screens covered the walls showing information. From all across the galaxy, ships from dozens of different species were coming and going every day. What had started as a meeting between 7 alien races and 3 humans had become the center of a new galactic community. Commander Zexthera walked over to where Jake was standing. Over the past months, she had learned to be less afraid of human behavior, though she still found it deeply disturbing. Her crystal shell had new markings on it now, symbols that showed her friendship with the human delegation. "Captain Morrison, the latest reports have arrived," she said, holding out a data tablet. 17 more species have asked to join our expanded coalition in just the past week. Jake took the tablet and looked at the information. The discovery that humans existed had caused every species in the galaxy to look at their own worlds with new eyes. Planets that had been written off as completely uninhabitable were being studied again. Species that had thought they were alone were finding neighbors they had never noticed before. "Any word from the big galactic council?" Jake asked. Commander Zexthera made a sound that might have been laughter, though it came out as crystal chimes. "They are still in emergency meetings. The existence of humans has forced them to throw out their entire system for deciding which planets can support life. Several council members are begging for human advisors to help them understand how to expand into dangerous territories." Carl Hughes walked over carrying his favorite tablet computer. It was covered with notes and data from his ongoing studies of alien biology and planetary conditions. His excitement about learning new things had only grown stronger since they arrived at the station. "Jake, you need to see this," he said, practically bouncing with enthusiasm. "We have identified 43 planets in nearby star systems that the Galactic Council said were completely uninhabitable. Based on our analysis, most of them could support human colonies with just minor changes to make them more comfortable. Lieutenant Amy Foster came over from the communications station where she had been talking to Earth and other human ships. More human vessels had arrived over the past months, bringing diplomats, scientists, and even some tourists who wanted to see the aliens for themselves. Captain Admiral Patterson sends his congratulations from Earth Command. He wants a full report on our expansion opportunities out here. Jake smiled. The expression that had once terrified the aliens but now just made them nervous. Tell the Admiral that the galaxy just got much bigger and much more interesting for humanity. Ambassador Thickmer's heavy footsteps announced his arrival long before he reached the group. The massive stone-like alien had become one of Jake's closest friends among the coalition members. Despite their very different backgrounds, "Captain Morrison, my people have a proposal," he said in his voice like grinding rocks. "The Krillian Military Council wants to set up joint training programs with your human soldiers. We believe we could learn much from human tactical thinking, an ability to adapt quickly to new situations." Dr. Yolandra approached the group in her new environmental suit. She had indeed visited Earth, as she had promised, though she had to stay inside a specially built protective system the entire time. The experience had changed her completely. She now spoke about Earth with the kind of awe that most people reserved. For religious experiences, an Ixari Science Directorate wants to study human genetics, she said, her voice bubbling with excitement through her suit's speakers. Your species' ability to adapt to different environments without evolving new body parts is something we have never seen before. It could revolutionize our understanding of life itself. Jake looked around at the busy command center. Aliens and humans worked together at control stations. Screens showed dozens of ships from species that had never met before today. The galaxy was waking up to the reality that survival was not about changing your body to fit one specific environment. It was about refusing to let any environment stop you from doing what you wanted to do. You know what makes me proudest? Jake said too. His alien friends? Humans are not even the toughest species on Earth. Wait until you meet some of the other creatures that live on our planet with us. The aliens looked at each other with expressions of worry and curiosity. Commander Zorth's metal skin grew warm with concern. What do you mean, other creatures? Kay asked carefully. Amy Foster pulled up pictures on her tablet. Well, there are honey badgers. They are small animals that will fight anything, including lions and elephants, just because they feel like it. There are tardigrades, microscopic creatures that can survive in outer space without any protection. There are cockroaches that can live through nuclear explosions. Dr. Hughes got excited and joined the conversation. Oh, and there are sharks that have been basically unchanged for millions of years because they were already perfect killing machines.
Ow.
There are octopi that can change their entire body to look like rocks or other sea creatures. There are bacteria that live in boiling water and acid. These creatures share your world, Commander Zexthera asked in amazement. Share it? Jake laughed. We keep some of them as pets, others we swim with for fun. Some we eat for dinner. Earth is not just our world. We share it with millions of other species, many of which are just as tough as we are, or tougher. The revelation that Earth was not just home to humans, but to millions of other hardy species, was almost too much for the aliens to process. They had spent their entire history believing that their species were special because they had each survived one type of dangerous world. Now they were learning that one single planet had produced countless tough species, and the humans were just one of them. General Chixara spoke for all of them when she said, "Your Earth sounds less like a planet and more like a training ground, designed to create the most dangerous beings in the galaxy." That is probably not wrong, Morrison admitted. Earth has been testing and challenging life for billions of years. Everything that lives there has been forced to become tough, smart, or adaptable. Usually all three. As the day cycle ended on Haven Station, Jake stood at the observation window watching ships from dozens of species dock at the station. The Deathworld Coalition had become something much greater than anyone had imagined. It was now proof that the galaxy was full of survivors, fighters, explorers who had never realized they were not alone. Commander Zexthera joined him at the window. Captain Morrison, I have been thinking about something Dr. Hughes said about human children needing danger to develop properly. What about it? Jake asked.
That.
Perhaps that is why your species is so successful. Most civilizations try to make life safer and easier for their young. But humans deliberately expose their children to controlled risks. You are not just surviving your world, you are using it to make each generation stronger. Jake nodded thoughtfully. Maybe that is the real difference between us and other species. We do not see our dangerous world as something to escape from. We see it as something that makes us better. The age of humanity among the stars had truly begun. The galaxy would never be the same, and the universe had become a much more exciting place for everyone brave enough to explore it.